Welcome back to Life, Biz and All That Jazz, podcast where real talk meets transformation. If you're navigating mental health, sobriety, healing from trauma, or just trying to create a life that truly feels like yours, you're in the right place. I'm your host, Jasmine Lashotto, and every week we share the raw, we share the messy, we share the transformations. The whole purpose of what we share is so you never have to feel alone. If you're new here, welcome. Welcome to the family. And if you've come back for more, thank you so much for coming back for more and trusting my vision. It really means a lot to me. Before we get into today's conversation, I do need to provide a warning that there will be conversations about mental health and suicide. So please listen with care and read the show notes for more details. Today's episode is a special one. This week, I am taking part in Podcasthon, where thousands of podcasts from all over the world are creating episodes and dedicating to their chosen charity. We've chosen these charities because they mean something to us, and we want to help spread awareness to all the great things that they do. It's all about using our voices and the power of podcast and sharing through our platforms so other people can hear about these charities and not feel alone. The charity that I've dedicated my episode to is Lifeline Australia. Lifeline Australia is a crisis support line which is 24 hours. It helps with mental health and suicide prevention. Right now, more than ever, people are reaching out for help, and that's why services like Lifeline are so important to spread the awareness and know that you can reach out to someone if you do need help. A very important statistic that I heard the other day was every 24 seconds, someone is reaching out to Lifeline. That shows the importance of us needing to spread more awareness, providing support to them, donating when we can, and just also volunteering where possible. Lifeline is a charity that means a lot to me because my dad used to volunteer with them and did a lot of work with them as well. They were there to support my dad in his darkest times. Unfortunately, we lost Dad in 2016 after his hard battle with bipolar, but that's why I want to continue to spread the word and continue on with this legacy to promote Lifeline and share the amazing work that they do. So today's episode, I'm going to be talking about what Lifeline do, how you can help and volunteer if you can, and just what services they can support you with as well. I really want to get across how important mental health conversations are. The more we talk about it, the more we can spread awareness and make others not feel alone. Then the more that they're going to feel supported and we can create a bigger connection in this community. Let's dive into today's episode. If you haven't heard of Lifeline Australia, Lifeline provides free 24/7 confidential support. And this is for anyone who is experiencing emotional distress, crisis, or thoughts about suicide. So there is actually many ways that you can get in touch with Lifeline if you do need help. You can call their 13 number, which I will leave in the show notes. You can also text them, and they also have an online chat service. I think it's really great having that text service because if you don't feel confident to talk to someone over the phone, you can have that text service until you can build up that confidence and know that someone is there to listen. Lifeline also have a lot of community programs you can get involved in, and this can be with your workplace, with some friends, or even if you just want to do that alone. One of the biggest ones is the Out of the Shadows walk, which I have participated in multiple times. This is in September, and it's a great way to just get out there and talk to other people in the community and show your support. Lifeline also offer training, which you can implement in your workplace or even for personal use, and this is on suicide prevention training, so you can understand more about suicide prevention and how you can help with your community or support your loved ones. The biggest thing I want to get across about Lifeline is that someone is always there to listen. Even if you feel like no one's there to listen, you might not have anyone around you in your family or your friends that you feel like you can talk to. This is why Lifeline is great for this service because it's able to support you and you can have a confidential conversation with someone who will listen and be able to support you on your next steps. I know it can be very hard to want to talk to family members sometimes or your friends because you may think that you're going to burden them or you don't want to put the pressure or the stress on them. One thing that I really want to share, and this comes from personal experience after losing my dad by suicide, is that someone will always listen. Doesn't matter what someone's doing in their life, how busy they may seem. It doesn't matter if you feel like you are going to put more stress onto them. They love you and they would rather listen to you and be there for you and support you than lose you. That's something that people can never take back. Losing someone, that's for the rest of their lives. And this is where I really speak to this as close to my heart, that someone will always be there to listen and that you are never a burden on anybody. As I mentioned before about the text service, I think this is really great because even if you are just feeling a little bit overwhelmed and you just want to vent and talk to someone, you can send them a message and they'll be able to come back to you and support you where needed. And you can do that anywhere, from your bed, from your home, in a real confidential, quiet space, somewhere where you feel comfortable. And it allows you to work at your own pace. If you are struggling with your mental health or having thoughts about suicide, you might not want to talk to someone about advice. If you're really struggling and you just want to figure it out on your own, I understand that. I am someone that is very independent, has always tried to battle things on my own, but I do know the power of speaking up and sharing how you're feeling. And as I said as well, if you don't have anyone else directly to talk to, Lifeline's a great support for that. So the reason I chose Lifeline Australia, as I mentioned earlier, is that my dad used to volunteer with them. He volunteered with them with their walks, charity events, and last week's episode, as I mentioned, he was also in their book, Glimmer of Hope. One thing I really admire about my dad when he was here with us is that he always wanted to help other people, even though he was struggling with his darkest days. He wanted to make sure that no one had to feel alone and that no one had to feel like he did. He really believed in being there for people during their hardest moments. Simply just listening, offering support, and knowing that there is someone there that will listen. Losing him was one of the most painful things that I've ever experienced. And I saw him struggle for many years, but I also saw him through his strongest times and the impact that he's made on this world and on his family and friends. Even though my dad's story ended in tragedy and we lost him, I will continue to spread the word and the awareness that he talked about to ensure that his legacy is not forgotten. And that's why I'm dedicated to share awareness about mental health and suicide prevention so other people don't have to go through what our family went through, and that other people know that there is someone there that listens and there is light at the end of the tunnel. If you are in a really hard place right now and you can't see that there is any light at the end of the tunnel, just remember, take it day by day, take it hour by hour, take it minute by minute, and just do your best. Everything that you're doing right now is your best, and you need to remember that time will pass, but your time and your journey is all that matters. Don't compare yourself to anybody else. Just take it at your own pace, and remember, it's just, as I said, minute by minute, and just get through the day. Mental health affects everyone. At some point of your life, you will experience struggles with your own mental health, or if you don't, maybe you will know someone within your close circle or your family that has struggled with their mental health. That's where organizations like Lifeline provide a lifeline. Literally, they provide a lifeline to be able to support people in their darkest moments, and also to support family and friends when you may not know how to help someone. If you are worried about someone in your family, you can also contact Lifeline and ask them for support, things that you can do, ways that you may be able to support your family and friends, because at the end of the day, we are all going through life for the first time, and we're not trained, unless you've got a lot of experience in mental health, we're not trained to be able to support people, as well as we're not trained to be able to deal with our own mental health at times until we can really dive in and understand why we're feeling the way we are. But for someone that's experiencing this the first time and has never experienced it before, it can be very overwhelming. It can be very confronting, and it can just be very painful. And you just don't know why you are feeling like this. You don't know why you don't want to get out of bed. You don't know why you're sad all the time. There's no rule book or there's no playbook for helping, for dealing with life situations like this, but there is people that will listen, and there is plenty of support services that Lifeline can offer. And that's why I really wanted to dedicate this episode for Podcasthon to Lifeline, and in honor of my dad, and to share the great things that Lifeline are doing for people all over Australia. Now I want to have a little bit of a chat about mental health and how we need to prioritize our mental health first. And as I said just before, if you're experiencing struggles with your mental health for the first time, you don't understand why you're feeling the way you do. You're overwhelmed. You have to continuously get through the day. You probably have to hide a lot of your emotions, and you might have a family, you might have children, you might have a business, you might have to go to work every single day, show up for your colleagues. There's so many factors in life that we have to do where often our mental health will be put at the back seat. We won't prioritize our mental health. And I've been there before in my own situation where I just worked all the time. I was burnt out. I was bottling everything in. I was drinking a lot, and I didn't prioritize my mental health, and it continued to deteriorate and deteriorate. My drinking got worse. I got more depressed. I got really anxious. And just to focus through the day, I just had to live off coffee because I wasn't sleeping well. Then at night, I would drink wine. That was never healthy. But at the time, that's the best that I could do. And I know that someone listening right now, you probably feel the same. You could feel that you're just getting by. You don't know what step to take to be able to break from that cycle, to break from that loop, to be able to then put your mental health first. With the current economic climate, the cost of living, the stresses, most families, both parents need to work now. Children need to be in childcare, but you don't get time off when you're at home. Everything's constantly go, go, go. Or for yourself, if you're living on your own, or you and your partner, you both have to work a lot to pay for mortgage, to pay for rent. Everything is very expensive. We don't have an option where we can sometimes step back and have a mental health day. I know a lot of workplaces are implementing this, and I think it's amazing. One day when my marketing business is big enough and I can hire people, I will be having sleep pods, nap pods, and also mental health days. That's not about today's topic. So with the pressure of everything around you and not knowing what step to take, I want to go through a few things that have worked for me. And I have done a lot of research and I've tried a lot of things. So what I'm going to share today might be helpful and might not be helpful, but there is the services like Lifeline that can help you and put you into the right direction. So mental health, we really do need to come up with a routine and a system in our daily lives that prioritize mental health. And as I said, there's so many factors around you, external factors, that are going to contribute to you being able to do that. One thing I want to talk about without getting too nerdy and too science-backed is neuroplasticity. And something that I really love about neuroplasticity is that we can rewire our brains. We can rewire our thought patterns and we can change the way we think. We can change our mindset. It doesn't happen overnight, but as you gradually do it day by day, your thoughts will change. You may have heard people talk about you are what you consume. And I couldn't agree with that more. The more negativity you have around you, whether that comes from the news, social media, people, the way that you talk about yourself, the way that you think about yourself, the more the negativity is going to make you feel worse. Negativity is going to contribute to that constant thoughts of thinking in a negative way, being harsh on yourself, and really just affecting your self-esteem and your confidence. But the thing with neuroplasticity is you can start small. You can literally start with the smallest thing of every morning when you wake up, write one thing that you're grateful for. First thing you do when you wake up, write it down, get a notebook, keep it on your bedside, have a whiteboard, have a whiteboard little thing on your fridge, have a Post-it note next to your bed if you don't want to have a notebook, and you can stick it somewhere and look at the things that you've been grateful for every single day and see how they've compounded, and have a whole wall of Post-it notes by the end of the year. One thing that I also found really good was having quotes and motivational stickers and stuff like that on my mirror in my bathroom, because you're going to see that every single day. If you can't think of something to start with that you're grateful for, that's okay. Things will come. But having some type of quote or some type of motivational affirmation where you can see it every single day will slowly help you remind yourself that things can be better. And that's how neuroplasticity works. So first off, your brain is going to open up. Your pathways are going to slowly start to open up. And that's when the change will slowly take into effect. So first you need to open up those pathways. Nothing's going to change if you don't open the pathways. Once you do open those pathways and the repetition continues, slowly your pathways in your brain are going to change and you'll feel more positive and you'll feel more optimistic. This also goes when you're following things on social media that aren't supporting you and your mental health. You can hide people, you can hide pages, you can only follow certain pages right now that are really motivational and positive and things that you need to get through the day. So in simple terms, I'll wrap up neuroplasticity, but pretty much our brains are constantly rewiring, relearning, and it all comes down to the habits and environment that we create for ourselves. Another big thing I want to share is, this is a constant thing as well, is that the way that we speak to ourselves truly does matter. And I'll reference this from some studies that I've seen about talking to flowers, and people talk to flowers and they grow better. And that's exactly how you should talk to yourself. Because I think if you do have a negative aspect and you've really lost that self-esteem, and you do talk to yourself in a negative way, or even thinking about yourself in a negative way, I really want you to reframe it and think, would you talk to your best friend like that? Would you talk to your family, your partner, your mum, your dad? Would you talk to someone like that? I don't think so. So why would you talk to yourself? You are the most important person in this whole world. And then that's not being selfish. It's that you need to put yourself first so everyone around you can benefit from that. Thinking and talking to yourself in a negative way compounds as well. And something that I want to share is that when you do have a thought, a negative thought, and you can't delete them forever, they're not going to stop. I still have intrusive thoughts and negative thoughts. But when you have that thought, or you say something to yourself that's not positive, whether it's the way you look or something you've done, if you made a mistake, anything that you do in that way, if you do it moving forward from today, if you say something or think something, I really just want you to tell yourself, no, that's not right. Because you're going to think it. Our minds are a mind of their own. And you're going to think something before you can even control it. You can't control it, is what I'm trying to say. So when you do think something or you say something out loud about yourself because it's an instant reaction, I really want you to just pause for a moment and reframe the thought or reframe what you said, and just know that you need to say in your head, and this is literally what I do and what has helped me, is that if I think something or go to say something now, I will be like, no, that's not right. You're doing your best. You'll do better next time. It's not a mistake. It's a lesson learned. And without lessons, we don't have growth. All these things that I've shared so far and what else I'm going to share in this episode, they're not quick fixes. They're not overnight. But slowly they do work, and they can work at your own pace. They're also not something that you can just work on for a few weeks or a few months and then forget about it. This may be the case for some people, but for some of us, and I know that is myself, I need to work on and focus on my mental health for the rest of my life. That's why I've chosen sobriety. That's a choice that I've made for myself that is going to make the rest of my life the best of my life. Because some people can work on themselves and they will get to a point where they don't need to do any work. And that's okay. That's amazing. Then there's also some other people, which this is why I'm sharing this. I don't want people to feel like if they've struggled with their mental health their whole life, that just because some other people get better quickly, or then they don't have to keep doing work on themselves, that something is wrong with them. Something's not wrong with you if you have to continuously work on your mental health for the rest of your life. It just means that you're always going to be a priority. We can't help with the way that our brain is wired, the way that the chemicals in our brain works. We can't change genetics, but we can adapt and we can live with what we have in the best way possible. So that's why you need to find something that really helps you. That's something that you can implement every single day, something that you enjoy doing, and something that becomes a part of your routine and fits into your routine and your lifestyle. The things that we come back to every single day in the smallest ways, they're the way that we set our boundaries, they're the way that we build our routines, and they're the way that we lean on support. Some other things that are really positive for mental health is moving our bodies every single day. This could be a 15-20 minute walk when we wake up. This could be some stretching when we wake up. If you have time to go to the gym before work, that's great. I've never been a real early gym person. I don't mind Pilates in the morning, but getting up early, it's really hard already for me to get up early. In the mornings, I need to have a bit of a slower morning, and I'm grateful that I get to do that because I do work for myself. But that's why I always want to make sure that I'm sharing things for everyone that everyone can relate to. If all you have is 15 minutes and you can get up 15 minutes earlier to go for a walk outside, have your coffee outside, have your breakfast outside. Spend 5 or 10 minutes in the morning journaling outside, or if you can't journal outside, just sit on the lounge and give yourself 5 minutes as soon as you wake up to talk about things that you're grateful for, and know that how you set up your morning will really help with how your whole day goes. Another thing as well is alcohol, and I will never be a person that goes around telling people to stop drinking. I will just share my experiences and the things that I've learned. For me, sobriety was one of the best decisions that I ever did for my mental health. It allowed me to really excel in all areas of my life. It allowed me to build the routines that I needed. It allowed me to better the relationships I had around me with my family and my friends. It allowed me to be kinder to myself and build back that confidence and that self-respect that I had, because when I used to drink, it was never healthy, and that was never showing myself self-respect. And the constant loop and the constant doubt of the decisions that I was making, and, constantly waking up and regretting feeling hungover and wasting a day. I have other episodes that I do talk more about my sobriety journey if you wanted to listen to those, which focus more on sobriety and things that I've learned and, science-backed data and stuff like that when it does come to alcohol and mental health, especially for someone that has ADHD like myself. The dopamine hits that I would get from alcohol were detrimental to my progress, and that's where the constant loop and the unhealthy habits of drinking came into effect. Another really big thing I want to share is slowing down and having a rest. It's okay to have a rest day. It's okay to clear your schedule and do everything tomorrow, unless it's really urgent and it needs to be done that day or then and there. Most things can be put off to the next day. Most people will understand if they are waiting for you to do something. And I know this can be hard when it comes to workplace, but I think if you openly talk to your manager or your colleagues and something that's not definitely due that day, that you want to work on something else that's a little bit easier for you, that supports you a little bit more that day, and you can do the other thing tomorrow, just ask the question. That's all you can do is ask, and it will be awkward probably asking for support to begin with. And this is another thing where it comes back to Lifeline, is that if you feel like you can't ask someone at your workplace or your family or anyone around you, you can send a text to Lifeline and just ask them for support on how to approach the situation. Resetting is another big thing. If you can have a Saturday or a Sunday or even half a day to reset for your week, plan the next week ahead, clean your space, clear your mind. Clean space has a really positive effect for your mind. And if you're organized, and you can be organized in your own way, it doesn't have to be the same as all these people on Instagram or Pinterest that have all these organizational stuff. It's got to be yours. Your way of organizing is enough. That's all that matters. But having a reset, like I said, if you could have a reset day, that's great. If you could have half a day, if you could have a few hours really just to plan the week ahead, and even have a look at the week that's just gone and think to yourself, what am I grateful for this week? What am I proud of for this week? What's some lessons that I don't want to take into next week? I do this a lot now, but I didn't before. So talking about how I'm feeling and expressing how I'm feeling, especially if I feel like it's going to be an awkward conversation. And this takes practice. This is similar to boundaries, setting boundaries that are going to support your mental health. It's not easy to set boundaries with someone, but you need to approach the boundaries in a kind way and know that the way that you see something might not necessarily be the way that somebody else sees something. So you need to be able to compromise, but allow your point, allow your view to go across, and let them know why you need to implement this boundary. So that's something that's really big, is setting boundaries and also being able to talk to someone about how you feel, which, again, as I mentioned earlier, I know that's not going to be the first priority, but once you do start to work on your mental health and you do start to implement different processes and you build up that confidence to be able to express and tell your loved ones that you are struggling and that you do have bad days and you are trying to get help and you want to do better, the actual process of doing that when you are ready is actually really positive for everyone else around you as well, because the people around you, it can be contagious when you wanting to focus and be better for yourself, be better for your family, be better for everyone around you. Other people see that and the right people will be there and they'll support you and they'll also want to do better themselves. And that's something that I have seen over the years, and it really helps with my journey, and know that the more I share about what I share is actually helping other people. Everyone's journey is going to look different, but one of the biggest things I want you to know is that you are never alone and you are allowed to ask for help. You have people that care, you have people that love you, and you have support, whether it's directly around you or reaching out to somebody like Lifeline for support. I know that sometimes the most powerful thing that you might need is just somebody to listen. You don't want any solutions. You don't want any advice. You just want to be heard and you just want to talk about how you're feeling and you want someone to be there and listen. Before we wrap up today's conversation, I just want you to remember that you are never alone. Someone is always there to listen. You are enough. You are so loved. Right now, maybe you can't reach out to family and friends, but that doesn't mean you need to carry this on your own. It doesn't mean that you need to try and solve everything on your own. There is someone out there that will help, and that's why there are services like Lifeline to be there to support you in times of need. At any time of your life, if you feel like you are overwhelmed, you feel like you're spiraling into depression, or if you are feeling negative, having thoughts about suicide, however you feel the situation is, whether you think your problem is small, whether you think your problem is too big, there's always someone there that will listen. And that's a wrap on today's episode, special episode that's part of the Podcasthon charity event. So this is the 4th year that they've had this event, and this is the first year that I've been able to participate, and it's been such an honor to be able to contribute to the cause and to be able to share what Lifeline does and the amazing work that they do and how their services can help you or your family or your loved ones. If you enjoyed this episode, I would really love if you could hit follow and share a comment. It would really mean the world to me just to hear your thoughts on what you thought of today's episode. I'll also be linking the Podcasthon website where you can actually go on there and have a look at all the other charities and the other podcasts that have shared their episodes and the charities that they've chosen. There might be another charity on there that you'd like to support, or you know someone might need to hear about. If you do have the capability to donate to Lifeline Australia, I've also added their website in the show notes. There also are a lot of other opportunities that you can do to help, whether that comes to fundraising, volunteering, or even just spreading awareness. So I'll put all their other details in the show notes as well, where you can show your support. Because at the end of the day, no one deserves to struggle, and one life lost is one life too many. By spreading awareness and talking about mental health and charities that support people for mental health and suicide prevention, each conversation we're having is a conversation that's going to be passed on, and it's going to maybe support someone in your direct family or someone else that you know. It's easy to think that our voices aren't as strong as we think they are, but sharing the conversations, talking to your family and friends, checking in on them, showing them support, and letting people know that you are there for them whenever they need can really save a life. And it may not be someone directly that you know, but even having open conversations with colleagues, if you're unsure about mental health or you want to learn more, there's also a lot of services on Lifeline which can explain situations where you can support other people, especially when it comes to workplaces. They also have a lot of information on there where your workplace can get involved in fundraisers. Thank you so much for listening today. I just want you to remember that your voice matters, your story matters, and someone will always listen. And as I end every single episode, just remember it's progress, not perfection. You are not broken, you are becoming. I'll see you next week.